Hi, welcome back. Also Wanum. Today we're going to be doing something very special, making Mongrel Grog out of old frozen makas that a lot of people would throw away. We put it in the freezer and make more Kava out of it. First I want to show you something though in English about how to make Kava in a jar with a little cotton bag. Show you how quick and easy it is. I'm going to take a couple of tablespoons of Tikarams Vanuatu, which is very pleasant, but a little strong. It doesn't have to be too precise. You can make them well-rounded or level depending on how strong you like it. Go easy if it's the first time you ever had it, needless to say. So, Tikarams Vanuatu. So I wrap up the bag here and tie it off pretty tight at the top so you don't get any of your medium grind getting into your grog. Put about halfway. This is a liter jar. And as always, when I'm shaking, whether it's in an aloe ball or a mason jar, I like to put a plastic baggie on top so that it protects the balls if you're using aloe balls. The bag, it doesn't matter, but in this case it keeps the water from coming out and flying all over the place. Even so, I do it over the sink. And as you can see, that took no time at all, hardly any shaking. And I believe it's time for bula. Bula. Oh, nice. So, anyway, on to the main show. I'm going to actually, before I do that, I'm also going to show you a trick for getting the most of the makas out of the bag. Here's a bag that I made and earlier, and it's played out. I did a couple of washes, got plenty of grog out of it, but the makas in there still has lots of goodies that you can get if you put it in the freezer and then take it out and thaw it and make Mongrel Grog, which I'm going to do in a minute. But if normally you would just empty the bag like this and dump it out, an enormous amount of makas would stick to the inside of the bag. And there's a trick I'm just about to show you. We're getting around that. Sometimes it's a little hard to untie the stuff because you tie it really tight, but it's better to have a very tight closure than to have a mess. Trust me on that. I've done both. So I'm going to dump out some here, like this, into a strainer. You can see I have basically a little strainer. It's missing its handle, but it still works. So I'm going to dump it out, and then I'm going to flip the bag inside out, but holding it in the strainer, so you can see I've got it like this. And then I'm going to run water while it's in the strainer over the bag gently. And that way, instead of having a mucky bag, you've actually gotten the stuff out. And if I stir this with my finger, it makes the water run up. Now that, because we haven't macerated the makas, it isn't making grog. So we're not losing grog there. That's just water that's going by. And as you can see, the bag's basically clean. So a little strainer for getting your makas. And then I like to put that in a container. Something like this is just handy, perfect for it. Plop it in, and you see it's a nice bunch of makas in there. Similarly, when we do it with an aloe ball, and I have some here from last night that I saved for this video, but it's perfectly fine to leave it overnight and then take it out and freeze it. So I'm going to empty this out here carefully over the container. And as you can see, it's pretty dry and well formed, so it just takes a couple of knocks to knock it out. And then you wash carefully the balls and dry. So even though I'm going to make some from freezer makas that I had out to thaw for this, I'm going to still be making even more going in the freezer. So I've constantly got stuff going in the freezer for Mongrel Grog. Anyway, to make the Mongrel Grog, I'm going to fill this half-gallon jug with hot water out of the tap. And that'll take just a moment. And in the meantime, I will be putting these frozen makas that I've thawed into a bag in a large bowl. So I have a decent sized bowl here for kneading. I have a big strainer bag. You can use nylon or cotton or whatever, as long as it's the mesh that you like, not too wide and not too narrow. The good thing to start with would be maybe 75 microns, and then see if you like it a larger or smaller gauge. So now this on its own would have probably been enough, but I'm going to make a super strong batch of Mongrel Grog because we have honored guests to serve grog to, so you want to make sure it's good. Now, I would not be ashamed to serve Mongrel Grog to an honored guest. It's wonderful grog. It's not, you know, in any way an inferior grog. So again, like with any bag, we want to tie off the top. Pull the strings tight and then give it a nice tie. I like to double tie if I've got a long enough string, just because a little paranoia is good. And then once I've got it in this, and of course I've kept it in the bowl because it's leaking like crazy, you see, as it thaws out, because there's, no matter how well you shake the makas and squeeze the makas, there's still going to be lots of moisture in there because it got right into the roots. So you're going to get, I'm putting in this half-gallon of hot water, but I will get it out of it, you know, a half-gallon plus maybe a cup on this first wash that I'm going to do. And I will do at least 4 washes, probably 5 or 6, because this is a large quantity of very strong grog. And the other exception I'm going to be making right now, because it's such a large quantity of almost perfectly thawed makas, there's tiny little bits of ice left, but it's been thawing for quite a few hours on the counter. But normally I would, having put the hot water in the bowl with the kava, I'm going to start kneading now, but normally I would let it sit for 10 minutes for that hot water to soak in, and usually makes it just a little bit better. But as I said, this is so strong, I'm going to do it very quickly. Now, typically this first one only takes about 5 minutes. Normally when you're preparing kava for medium grind that hasn't been in the freezer and wasn't makas, you would need for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the grind. Some demands a lot, some demands very little. But with Mongrel Grog, because the freezer has done most of the work for you, in a sense pre-kneading the kava by getting the water from the preparation when you were shaking it with the aloe ball or a bag, or even kneading it. You know, you can, you don't have to do aloe ball to do Mongrel Grog. You can just do your regular kneading for a couple of washes, then put the kava, the makas in the freezer, so you get that effect of the ice macerating the kava for you. Because those water molecules get right in that root and then expand when they freeze and crack, 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 and opens it wide open. Now, I have not been kneading this for very long, and it really doesn't need it. It just needs a good squeeze like this. And then very carefully, and in the sink, I'm going to decant this grog because I think it's ready. Now I'm going to, having poured out some, I'm just going to need a little bit more here, and then I'll shake it together in the jar. It's very nice to sing a song sometimes when you're kneading kava. That can be a useful measurement of time, just like when you brush your teeth, you're supposed to sing happy birthday to you, a chorus of happy birthday to you, and that will give you a sufficient amount of toothbrushing. Or if you're washing your hands with hot water and soap, again you sing happy birthday to you, and that's about the time it takes to make sure your hands are properly clean. And I'm not sure exactly what song would be best, but whatever you like would be good for kneading kava. Now notice I'm not really kneading the heck out of it. I'm just gently squeezing, and it's all coming out. Particularly in this first wash after the freezer, there's very little you have to do to get it to come out. And I'm going to show you in a moment how dark it looks. Now, there you go. There's my first half gallon that I've made, and I'm going to be making at least another half gallon. Now, there's that, plus, as you can see, I am still squeezing out plenty of liquid from this bag, so I'm going to make a shell here. I think you might have seen me do that a moment ago with the tikka rounds. So in addition to this half gallon here, I have this nice little shell here, and then I'm going to squeeze the bag again and get enough for another little shell. And I'll probably drink that. I always look at the things that are over and above the half gallon or the liter or whatever jar you're making. If there's more than that, you just drink that because that's your bonus. You deserve it. So I'm going to take this and say bula again. One wonderful thing about Mongrel Grog, it's a mix of, you know, whatever you were making during the week or 2 weeks or however it takes, how long it takes you to accumulate enough to make a nice big bag of Mongrel Grog. But it's a mix of, you know, all the different types of kavas that you might be lucky enough to drink, and as a result, it acquires its own character. But also, from the effects of being in the freezer, it acquires its own character, and also because certain of the kavalactones will come out very heavily in the first 2 washes. You get some of the other kavalactones, because there's what, 16 or 18 kavalactones now, and they're discovering more all the time. It's like vitamins or something. I think those come to the fore in the later washes in Mongrel Grog. And as you can see, I got some more. So there's that and this, and I've just made, you know, a fair bit. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a liter of hot water, hot tap water in here to start soaking. I'll let it soak, you know, for 10 minutes. That should be fine. But then when I knead it, it won't come up as fast. It'll take a bit more work. So I usually budget 10 minutes per wash on the subsequent ones. Anyway, that's enough for now. Enough of me yakking at you. I'll have some more pointers later when I get the chance. So, tough to muss. Bye.